Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 40 4th of July Dollar Tree DIYs that I've made so far this year on my channel in 2025. This includes traditional 4th of July, coastal 4th of July, and even 4th of July party tablescapes. I hope you enjoy. For the first one, I wanted to take 3 of the signs from the Dollar Tree and these little packaged wood stars from the Dollar Tree and make a large wall hanging that spells out USA. So I'm going to be using these square signs. They do have wood beads on them for hangers, but that's going to kind of get in the way for what I want to do. I want them to put them all together to make one large sign. And so I just go ahead and remove all of the beaded hangers with some pliers. These are the wood stars I'm using from the Crafter Square. I'm using a total of 4 bags of these to spell out USA. And I'm just going to kind of map them out a little bit. The U is really easy. The S required a little bit more thought, but I think that is the proper amount of stars to make that look like an S. And then the A, pretty easy as well. And mapping them out is always a good idea, so you have enough of those wooden stars painted or stained. I'm gonna kind of stain with paint. So I took some water and some blue paint. It wasn't quite dark enough. I wanted mine to be more of like the navy stars, like the flag is. And so I'm gonna simply mix some black with my blue, mix it up really good. I don't want it to be like partly blue, partly black on there. And I want to kind of create a stain for these. So I'm going to keep all my letters separate so I know exactly how many stars I needed for each one. I tried at first to use a sponge to do this, but then I quickly realized it's easier just to toss the little wood stars into the cup with the paint and the water and stain them that way. I'll just lay out a paper towel. That way I get a really nice stain on all of them, and it gets the edges of them too. Because they are kind of thick, these stars, and I want to make sure that those are painted too. And staining is just such a quick way. And look, you get that beautiful wood grain coming through. I just blotted all of mine with a paper towel once I got them stained, and I think that looks pretty good. I want to leave the signs white. I like the fact that they're white. But I want to add blue stars, and I'm going to add some red on there too for the frame. So I'm going to do the same thing here with the other 2 signs, just simply staining them all. And I really didn't mix up that much water and paint, but it really doesn't take that much. So I went ahead and had enough for all of my letters. And this is a way that like I like to stain like wood beads too, but with this it worked even better because you don't have to worry about like wet paint on the inside of the wood beads and stuff like that. So it worked pretty well. And if you wanted to do each of your letters a different color, you could. Since I already had a white sign, I didn't really want to do red, white, and blue because I didn't think that would make sense. And so I'm just going to do a red frame on all of them, blue stars, and then leave the background that kind of distressed white. I'm just using a makeup sponge and some red paint to kind of stain that frame as well. Just dragging it across the wood grain there, and it will kind of pick up that wood grain as well. Just be careful not to get any on your sign. If you remove that red paint quick enough, you won't have to worry about that. But I did it with all 3. And this is going to make a really nice wall hanging, really large, or you can even hang this on your door. It's pretty significant. So I have all of my letters stained so I can go ahead and start putting this sign together. I'm just going to kind of lay them out so I remember where exactly I want to glue them. When I go around a corner like this, I kind of tilt my stars a little bit. It made them fit a little better, and it gave a little bit of character too. I'm just going to glue one side, then glue the other to try to keep it a little bit symmetrical. They don't have to be perfect, but I've been looking for a use for these wood stars that I've been finding at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree, and I thought spelling out USA would be a really fun way. And so here is the S. I'm going to go ahead and lay that out too, using the U for reference, so I kind of know where I want my letters to start and stop as far as height. And I'm just going to take my time and glue these on. And since I have lots of curves on this one, I just kind of tilted the stars as I went, just kind of whatever made sense. And we just have one more letter to complete this large sign. So we have the A. The A I had to get a little bit tighter here with them to get them all to fit. And I think that's going to work. And I just attached that too. What I want to do is use some ribbon to attach them all together like one long sign. And I also want to use a nice flag bow that I got from the Dollar Tree for the top for another festive touch. So I have all of those put together. Now it's time to put the whole thing together. So I'm going to first make a hanger. So I had removed the wood bead hanger from all of them. I just want a piece of twine. I just knotted one end and used my staple gun to staple that in here on the other side. You might be able to get away with hot glue, but I thought since I have the frame there, I could probably get away with using my staple gun on that because it would be thick enough there. And then I want them about 1.5 inches apart. So I went ahead and measured that so I could make them symmetrical. And I'm going to use this red and white flag striped ribbon. I think I actually got this on Temu. They have one that's similar from Dollar Tree that has the stars and the stripes on it that you could use as well. First, I used hot glue to attach them. And then I went back in with staples on the frame just to make sure it's really strong. Because the signs are rather big, I just wanted to make it as strong as I could. And I did the same thing here for the bottom sign. Now that I have them all glued and stapled, we can flip this over and attach the bow to the top. This is just a standard patriotic bow from the Dollar Tree. They come in a 2-pack. The only thing I don't like about it, it's got this gold foil like tie, and I don't really like that. It doesn't really fit the vibe of my project. So I'm going to replace that with some twine. So just keeping it all together, I'm going to use that same piece of twine to tie it to my hanger. Just tie it here on the front, flip it over, and tie it again here a couple times on the back. And that is the perfect final touch, I think, to our little Star USA sign. It turned out really cute, and I'm really glad that I crafted with those wood stars. It's something that you pick those things up at the Dollar Tree sometimes. You're like, oh, I'll need those. And then you're like, what in the world am I going to make with all of these wood stars? But this was a fun way to use them. Spelling out USA, it's very patriotic. And as you can see, it's a rather large piece. It takes up my entire haul tree there to show it to you. For this DIY, I picked up a silver plastic charger from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to turn it into a really beautiful centerpiece for my table. I thought that the silver would be great because it would be kind of reflective. I'm going to actually up that too. You'll see here in a minute. And I want to boost it up and make it taller. I'm going to do that with one of these candlesticks from the Dollar Tree. Now it's white. White could work for red, white, and blue, but I decided to make mine more of a navy color by spray painting it. And it's kind of got like a starburst pattern on this particular little candle holder. So I thought that would be perfect for the star and a base to lift it up. So I just gave it a coat of spray paint just because it was easy and I really had the right colors. So I think that looks really pretty. I do want the silver tray to be silver, but I'm actually going to spray paint it too, just with a thin coat of chrome spray paint because I want it to be reflective. Because we're going to be having a candle on the centerpiece, and I thought it would be really pretty for that to reflect off the surface. And I wasn't sure if the silver on the tray would be enough to make it reflective, so I went over it with a very thin coat of the chrome spray paint. And there was a few scratches on the charger from the Dollar Tree too, so this helped to repair it as well. This was the only one left at my store, and I think this is a really great use for this. Now I'm going to use some stronger glue. I went around the outside of it with some Gorilla Glue Clear Grip, using a double-sided tape here in the middle with a tiny bit of hot glue to get us started, and laying the charger right on top, trying to make sure that I get that centered. And I think this is going to be the perfect base for my centerpiece. It's looking really pretty. I love the chrome finish on that. For the centerpiece, I want to make a candle ring to hold my candle. So I actually picked up some of this grapevine on Temu. I used to be able to find the little grapevine wreath forms at the Dollar Tree, but I have not found them there forever. So I picked up some of this. It is kind of a do-it-yourself grapevine wreath, which will work. It's about what I need, the right size. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it in half because that's about all I'm going to need to make a wreath. And I'm going to use some really pretty florals that I found from the Dollar Tree and one of these glass candle holders. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the tag real quick here on the bottom of this one. And I also found a red candle from the Dollar Tree. The flowers on this one were kind of my inspiration piece, and they're like dark red, white, and like a navy. So I'm trying to keep with that color scheme a little bit. So I think that this is going to work really well to make a little grapevine wreath. I just made sure to tighten it up. To wire it, I'm actually using some of the berry garland from Dollar Tree. That's going to provide another little pop of red. It's a little bit more red than the rest that I'm using, but I kind of liked the variety of colors in it. I'm just going to use that to wire my wreath form together. So it'll blend in. The brown does a great job blending in with the grapevine, and the red gives the little pops of berries around. So I think that looks really pretty. I went around once and thought, I want even more. So I went around one more time. I had plenty with just one package of the berry garland, and we have a little wreath form. Now to decorate it with this, it's called a heather bush. It has red, white, and blue. I thought this would be really pretty. I'm just going to cut it a little bit under where the flower is, and using hot glue, I'm kind of putting that into my wreath form, just working in one direction, white, red, and blue. I tried to mess up my pattern here, but I caught myself before I got too far. And I want to go around just slightly overlapping it and shaping it as I go. And this is going to provide a fun, like classic candle ring that I think is going to look really pretty around the candle on that like centerpiece. And so I think that's enough. It did require a little bit of shaping and rearranging the flowers a little bit so they will lay a little bit tighter to the wreath form and take on that more circular shape. But I was able to do that without too much trouble. I didn't really need to wire them or anything. I just did a little bit of shaping, and I think that that's going to work just fine. And it's the perfect size to go around that little candle holder from the Dollar Tree. So I want to test that out. I think that's going to work. It's going to fill up the star nicely. This is a candle that I found. It's a nice scented candle from the Dollar Tree, and it's got kind of an interesting shape, almost a little bit like a firework with the cone top on there. I thought that would be really pretty, and I'm also going to take some white sand from the Dollar Tree and just put that underneath of it. Since I have the navy for the candle holder itself down below, red candle, white sand, so we have the red, white, and navy color scheme. I'll just place that right in there, and this DIY is complete. I think this is going to look really cute on my table for the 4th of July. It's really pretty during the day. This is what it looks like during the day. And I think the chrome paint did make it a little bit more reflective. It gave it that mirror finish that I was looking for. And I'm kind of glad that I painted the candlestick navy as well. I think it looks really pretty like that. So it's really beautiful during the day, and then I love how it looks at night. The chrome finish really does reflect the light from the candle, kind of like a mirror, and makes it look really pretty, almost magical. And I love that heather from the Dollar Tree. We're going to be using that again in today's video. I think it's really pretty for a Dollar Tree floral for sure. And this is how my centerpiece turned out. For the next DIY, I picked up this great frame from the Dollar Tree. It's very ornate. It is plastic, but it's got so much charm and detail. And it's also got a star print on it. So I thought, ooh, this might be cute for the 4th of July. So I'm just going to simply take it apart, and I want to paint it and then use a window decal from the Dollar Tree to make some 4th of July art. I am going to spray paint this. It is white with a gold trim. I want mine to be a blue color with a white trim. There is the border around the inside has stars on it, and so that kind of inspired me to do blue and white on this one. And this isn't like a really dark navy color of spray paint. It is more of a dark blue. I think this turned out really pretty. There are lots of little nooks and crannies on here, so I had to make sure that I got my spray paint into all of them. I thought spray paint would just be the easiest way to paint this for sure. And then for the background, I want to use some red burlap. So I'm just going to take a scrap piece of this red burlap from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut it out a little bit larger than I need here, where I can cut it down to size, just using a chalk pencil to kind of map out the size on that. I didn't really need to iron it. It might have made cutting it a little bit easier, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the rectangular shape. I thought having the blue and white frame and having the red burlap background would look really cute behind the window decal, and it wouldn't be too crazy because I'm going to attach the window decal to the glass itself, so I don't think that the red will show through the window decal too much. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and attach it with some Mod Podge. So I just go over the back of the cardboard on the frame and simply cover that piece of it, stretching the burlap out to cover the entire thing, making sure it lays flat. And I had to attach a little bit more Mod Podge to one side to make that happen. Once I get it glued on there and dried, I can just flip it over and cut off any excess burlap so it will still fit into the frame. Now, I did think about not putting it back on this since I am using a window decal. I could have like a sign that you could see all the way through, but I really wanted to use it as a frame and use the stand. So I decided to give it a fun texture for a background using the red burlap. So I'm just going to clean the glass that came on it, and we're going to use this American Vibes window decal. I thought this was really cute, with a little smiley face and the peace sign. And I'm just going to simply apply that to the glass itself. And I think that's going to look really cute. Now for the frame, I want to bring out all the great details on this. So I'm just taking some white acrylic paint and a makeup sponge and dragging it all over all of the fun details. Now you can see that great star pattern on the middle section that frames it out, that really makes it look patriotic. But I also go over all of the ornate detail on here as well. And I think that really made it so pretty. I know it's a plastic frame, but I think it just looks so nice when I am done distressing it. And see how much character distressing it, making it two-tone like that, really brings it out. See the star pattern on there? I think that's really cute. Now that I have that painted and dried, I can go ahead and add my glass to it. I notice the glass that's in there a little funny, so I'm going to try to move that over a little bit, so it will be centered, and then I place that in there, and my burlap covered back to the frame. I can just go ahead and reattach that back here. And I'm going to use the stand itself to stand this up, and just a really simple little patriotic sign. I absolutely love how it turned out. And I love the American Vibes little window decal. I think that's super cute. I just get it exactly where I want it. Since it's on glass, it should stay on there just fine. And I like the contrast of the red burlap there in the background. It just makes it look a little bit more high end, I think. I love crafting with window decals from the Dollar Tree and of course their frames. Look how beautiful that turned out. Very patriotic, so cute. I did think about putting the window decal under the glass, but I kind of wanted to pull it away from the burlap a little bit so that it didn't really show through the white background on that. For this DIY, I want to take 4 of the little mini pallets from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a fun hanging planter for the 4th of July. I want one of these to be on each side, and I want the larger pallets to be here on the outside, so it's a little bit more simple. And I'm going to attach it like that. So and one side will be a little bit longer. It'll be a little bit rectangular in shape. I just glue that on there, kind of matching it up end to end there to form a 90-degree angle there, where I want the width of it to be a little bit wider. So I'm going to have one of those glued on each side, if that makes sense, like that. And I am just using hot glue to attach these together. I'm going to be using faux florals from the Dollar Tree and foam, so it doesn't have to be super sturdy. If you wanted to reinforce yours with some wood glue or some nails, you really could. And then for this piece, I need to kind of sandwich it in here. I put hot glue on each side and kind of open it up and put that right inside, forming the structure of our little hanging planter. Now, I want to do something else for the bottom of it because I couldn't get another one of those to fit perfectly on there because I made the rectangular shape. But first, I'm going to stain it. I wanted to go ahead and glue it first because when I stain it with the paint, it was going to make the hot glue a little bit harder to stick to it. And I just find that wood items glue better that way. So once I get it all put together, I just made a paint stain out of some red acrylic paint mixed with water. It's going to be really thin, which is going to make it easier to paint the inside of the pallets here too, where it would be a little bit harder to paint. And I'm going to go over all four sides, inside and outside of the pallet board signs. I really want everything to look like it's stained red. So it's not going to be a real bright red. It's going to be more of a stained red wood, which I really like that effect. And I'm also going to be adding some of the wood stars from the Dollar Tree to give it a fun patriotic touch. But first I had lots of areas to go in here with my brush to make sure that I got every single part of this covered. And you could do it navy or blue as well if you'd like. For the bottom of it, I'm just going to use one of the flexible cutting mats from the Dollar Tree. And I actually had one in red. Sometimes they come in colors. So I thought might as well match the box, but you could always do one of their frosted ones as well. These work great for little planter bottoms because you can't really see them, and it provides a great bottom that's really easy to cut down to size. So I just cut out a little rectangular piece that will fit, and I'm just going to use hot glue to glue that little cutting mat there on the bottom. I kind of focused on the insides of the pallet boards there. As you can see, it's a little bit thick. Then I can go in and kind of trim it up and glue down the corners to make sure that it's going to be really secure. And we're going to be using that heather from the Dollar Tree in red, white, and blue to add to this. But first, some stars. I wanted to do some white stars. I thought that would look really pretty against the stained red wood. So I'm going to use these little wall hangings they have this year at the Dollar Tree and just simply remove them from the little wall hanging and remove the staples here from the back. The Cricut weeder works great for that, those tiny staples. And I can glue one of these on each side. The front and the back are kind of the wider sides, so that is what I'm going to decorate. And it's going to be a hanging sign, so I want it to be pretty on both sides. I just simply used hot glue to attach my wood star to that side. As you can see, it's the perfect size for these little mini pallets from the Dollar Tree. And I attach one there to the other side as well. Now I do want this to be a hanging planter, so I do need to take some twine. You could also use chain for this if you'd like, but I find twine a little bit easier to work with. I can just feed it through the pallet here on the sign and double tie this and use that same piece to go to the other side, creating like half of the hanger. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the opposite corner, just double tying that. And then I will do the opposite corners and we can tie it all together at the top. And I thought it would be easier to do this before I start filling it up with florals because I don't really have anything to get in my way. One of my was a little bit longer than the other, so I did tie it together here at the top to make sure that it's going to hang balanced, and I think that's going to work. I just burned off any fuzzies there on my twine with a lighter, and now we can fill this up with florals. But I think it looks really cute. I've been wanting to make a little hanging planter like this for a while, and I'm glad I finally got an excuse to make one. I just cut down some of the Dollar Tree floral foam, and we are just going to use the heather. This time I'm going to leave the greenery on this. I think that's really pretty. And I'm going to use all red, white, and blue and just start scattering this around. I notice there's less blue than there are red and white on these. And so I'll only have a couple of the blue, but I think that that's going to be fine. I do like the greenery in that, and I'm just going to keep filling it, scattering those in there until I think it's full enough. And then I use a little bit of the floral moss from the Dollar Tree to cover up any foam that might be visible. Really cute. You could use this indoors, outdoors. If you had it like maybe on a porch or something like that, I think that would look really cute hanging there. I think that's where I'm going to put mine. But this is how it turned out. I love that heather, the red, white, and blue. I think that's really pretty. And I love crafting with those like little mini palettes from the Dollar Tree. There's so many fun ideas you can come up with. And here is just a little mini planter. And I love those wood stars from the Dollar Tree. They come in red, white, and blue. And they are great for crafting. This DIY, I want to make like a little candle from the Dollar Tree, a patriotic candle. So I'm going to use one of their wood candle holders and one of their galvanized metal stars. Now these galvanized metal pieces at my stores are only $1 right now. And I love these candlesticks. These are some of my favorite to craft with. I think I'm going to actually have mine be upside down. I liked the shape of that better. It is black, and I am just going to go over mine with some dark blue spray paint to give it that flag blue color that I like. And I'm going to use the galvanized metal for the candle itself. And I want to decorate it, add a little pop of color. So I got some red and blue star ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to simply use some hot glue and decorate the outside of that. I think that the metal tray will be fine for a candle itself, and that's going to be the top of our little candle holder. So this is like an easier version of the centerpiece that I did, and it is just a little bit easier and smaller. So I just glue that all the way around, overlapping it just a little bit here with the ribbon. And now we can start putting it together. Metal is a little hard to hot glue, so I use some Gorilla Glue Clear Grip first and a little hot glue here in the middle. And I'm just going to lay my galvanized metal star tray right on top. Now make sure you don't have any holes in this if you're going to use sand like I did. I used the red sand from the Dollar Tree, but I did go around and fill up. I had like one hole in mine with some hot glue first so it doesn't just pour out when you add the sand to it. And then I'm going to use a white candle from the Dollar Tree, but I am going to decorate that a little bit to make it look patriotic as well. But I think that that's going to fit in there nicely. And candles and sands always work really well. So I wanted to give it some flag stripes since I already have the dark blue for the candle holder itself, the red sand. I thought we could do some red and white stripes really easily. So I just used some painter's tape, and I'm going to tape off a couple of flag stripes on here. And I'm just going to use some acrylic paint to paint the outside of the candle. I've used acrylic paint on candles before, usually don't have any trouble burning them, and so I think this will work out really well. I just take one of the little stencil daubers from the Dollar Tree and some red acrylic paint, and I just went all over with one coat of paint to give us some flag stripes. So just another little fun patriotic touch, but you can just take a plain candle like this from the Dollar Tree and add that. If you're able to find a red candle, you could also add some white stripes and get the same effect. So I'm just going to peel that off, and I have some really cute little flag stripes on this. Makes it look a little bit more patriotic. And I'm going to add that there to the sand in my DIY candle holder. This DIY was so easy to make, and I really love how it turned out. I will show you what it looks like lit up as well. But it was really easy to make with one of those galvanized metal stars. So if you have one in your stash, or if you're able to find one at Dollar Tree, I've really been trying to stack up on any of the galvanized metal products that I want since they're only a quarter right now. So they're probably not going to be in Dollar Tree for long. And this is what it looks like lit up. The flag stripes on the candle really look pretty, and this is a smaller candle. You could use this for decor just about anywhere. I think I'm actually going to put mine on my kitchen counter. I always like to have a little bit of whatever season it is, in my kitchen, my bathroom, areas like that, because I think it's really fun. Okay, we're going to switch it up now for some coastal 4th of July Dollar Tree DIYs. I'm going to take two of the wood shelf signs from the Dollar Tree, and I wanted to try to make a coastal flag using supplies from the Dollar Tree with all kinds of fun textures and ideas here. So I love to save the little metal rings from these and the macrame cord, but I just want the two wood shelves. I'm going to put them together. It's going to give me a really nice rectangular sign to make a flag out of. I do want to give them a light stain here with some beachcombers beige paint, just because I am going to be covering these with burlaps and stuff, but you might be able to see through them a little bit. I don't want the unfinished wood really to be visible. So I just went over and gave a quick stain to all of the wood with a very thin coat of paint. And then I went in with a baby wipe, kind of wiping off any excess paint so you can really see that wood grain come through. I was going for just an old weathered beachboard look for these. Then I'm just going to take one of the signs, apply hot glue here to the edge, and glue the two together to give me a really nice size sign here that we can decorate. I wanted to use some of the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree to make flag stripes. And for the red part of the flag stripes, I'm going to use some of this red ribbon they have right now at the Dollar Tree in patriotic colors. It's like a red burlap. And I'm just going to use that to make some really easy flag stripes. I think I'm only going to have room for 3 because I want really a red stripe to be at the top and the bottom. So I cut 2 down the same length going end to end. I'll have this kind of cover up the seam in between the 2 boards. And just making sure I cut these pretty close to size. And then I'm going to do a shorter red stripe here for the very top. Now, if you had some of the red burlap from the Dollar Tree, you could cover the entire board sign with the red burlap and kind of put the nautical rope wherever you wanted. If you wanted to do maybe some skinnier stripes or more stripes on here, I'm going to do bold stripes like this. So I'm going to have 3 red stripes, 2 white. I just kind of mark off where I'm going to put the ribbon, and then I'm using some Dollar Tree tacky glue. It's going to be nice and strong to hold this ribbon on there. I just made sure to do a nice thick coat of it. It will dry clear, but this is going to be really strong, a little bit stronger than Mod Podge. And I just lay that on there, making sure I have all of it down and the glue is securing the ribbon completely. And the driftwood actually looks pretty good back there too for his stripe. But I do want to add layers to this. I wanted to have all kinds of fun textures and just be very coastal, but with the traditional red, white, and like navy colors of the American flag. So same thing here for the middle section. I kind of marked out my edges so I would know exactly where to put my glue. And just using a sponge to apply that, I'm going to add my second ribbon right about here. I don't really care that you can see some of the holes from the shelves through the ribbon or the seam. It's just going to add to, I think, the coastal charm of this. This last flag stripe I made shorter because I want to have room for the little blue and white stars part of the flag. And I just add some more tacky glue and add ribbon to this. Just making sure I clean up any excess glue that may have seeped out. Now for the blue part of the flag, the Union Jack, I think it's called, I'm going to use some of the blue burlap from the Dollar Tree. It's like a navy. And I'm going to cut out a little bit bigger size than I need for a little rectangle here. And I want it to look a little shaggy. So I like the fact that some of the burlap is pulled out here. And I'm going to trim that up just to make sure that it is straight. It does kind of like to warp, but I like to go with like the exact grain of the burlap. It's going to make it easier and you can kind of wiggle it around when you're attaching it. So I went ahead and kind of mapped out 2 sides, pulled out some strings here for how big I want this one to be. Just a quick, easy way to measure it and get the size that I want. And again, I do want it to be a little like raveled out like that on the sides, but you know what? I don't want it to be too crazy. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and use tacky glue for this part too and just apply it here in this little section, making sure to kind of spread that out with a sponge. I think that it's going to dry a lot better if I, brush it around like that than leaving it just in streaks. And then I just place my burlap on here. I want to do starfish here. At this time, I hadn't decided if I was going to do like the larger one or some smaller ones. And I am going to pull off one more piece. I think that looks pretty good. If you have any that is overlapping the side a little too much, you can just flip it over, give it a quick trim. And then I want to use the nautical rope from the Dollar Tree for the stripes. Now, this is the wider cotton nautical rope. I think it's going to take about 4 strands to fill up that stripe. So I did big, bold stripes on this one. Again, another option I think would look really cute would be to cover the rest of the flag with a red burlap if you have it. And then you can kind of do flag stripes. You could even do like 2 instead of a wide stripe like I did with 4. So that's always an option. I kind of went back and forth which way I wanted to do it. But I don't really have any flag signs like this, so I wanted something a little bit different. And so I cut 4 of them down to size for my longer stripe. And then I'm going to do this same thing up here for my smaller flag stripe, just cutting 4 pieces all about the same length. I like the fact that the ends are going to be a little bit frayed. I was almost able to do this project with 1 package of rope, but as you can see, I was a little bit short. So I did have to open a second package here just for 1 more piece. Now to attach these, I find hot glue is the easiest way to attach rope. The reason I didn't want to use hot glue on the ribbon is because I didn't want that to be visible, like to come through the ribbon, leave some hot glue staining on those. and same with the burlap at the top. So tacky glue worked great for those, but hot glue I think works great for the rope. And I'm just trying to keep the rope relatively straight here and to fill in that gap. I'm going to do the same thing up here for my top stripe. And then I do want this to be a hanging sign, so I'm going to take advantage of the holes that are in the flag sign that were in the wood shelves to make a really easy hanger, but you could always use this as like a leaner sign too, to lean up against the wall or in your cabinet. So I just poked a hole through the ribbon and the burlap, and I'm going to use that same cotton twine that came with it. I like to add a little hot glue to the ends of mine. It's going to make it way easier to go through the drilled hole here in the wood and the fabric. And I like to just knot mine here in the very front of my signs. I don't need all of this. It's a little bit longer than I need, so I just kind of cut it in half, add some hot glue, and feed this one in too, and tie this off. I think it's looking really cute. It definitely looks coastal with the burlap and the rope, but I think starfish is going to make it look really coastal. I tried it with one of the Dollar Tree starfish, but I thought I would like some smaller starfish better. These are the little tiny starfish that I get on Amazon. I do have these linked in my Amazon shop in the description of today's video. If you're in the market for these, they are great. As you can see, there's various sizes. I'm trying to use some of the larger ones, I guess. And I'm just staggering them on there. I'm going to do, I think I have room for about 4 rows. And as long as they were relatively the same size, I think it's going to work. They are real starfish though, so you have to be kind of careful when you're attaching these and handling them because you don't want them to break. Another option is like the white resin starfish that are a little bit smaller from Amazon. Those work great as well, and I did think about using those, but I did not have enough white ones. I think I'm going to have to reorder some of those, but I love these little tiny starfish. I always have a stash of these on hand, and I'm just using a dot of hot glue underneath each one to secure it on here. Again, trying to keep that same pattern. I realized I only had 3 on this row. That doesn't really make sense. There was 4 on all the other rows, so I added 1 more and continued to hot glue these on. And I love the look. It's kind of a ivory color, the starfish, and I think it goes really well with that nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. Another fun touch I thought would be to add some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree to kind of look like fishing net. I'm just going to simply cut a strip of this, tie it here on my hanger, and I'm just going to tie one simple bow. It does tie pretty easily, and it's just going to give me a fun mesh net look, which is going to add another fun coastal touch to this DIY, but it was really easy to add that. And I think it adds a little bit of character to the kind of plain hanger here at the top. And that's all there is to it. This is our coastal flag Dollar Tree DIY. Lots of fun textures, as you can see, with the mesh ribbon. For the fishing net, we have the burlaps in red and blue, starfish, and some of the nautical rope. I think it turned out really fun. What do you guys think about my little flag with all kinds of coastal textures? And sometimes I like to do the traditional flag colors like that. That's what we're going to be doing in today's video. For this DIY, I found this little beach canvas from the Dollar Tree. It's really kind of long. And I'm also going to be using one of the new wood easel kits from the Dollar Tree and some of their window clings for an American flag. I love the idea of taking canvases. You can do this with Dollar Tree canvases or canvases that you thrift and add some seasonal decor to make them more of a seasonal piece instead of just a coastal piece. I do want to frame this out though, so I'm going to try to DIY a frame using one of these easel kits from the Dollar Tree. The wood is definitely long enough, and I think it's going to come with plenty of pieces to do this with just one kit. I can use one of the longer ones for the top and the bottom, and one of the other pieces here for the side. So I'm just going to cut this from the very top to the bottom. I'm going to do that for both sides, so I can use this long straight piece to do that and have 2 side pieces. Then I can take the longer pieces and have it go completely end to end on the end of those. That way I don't have to miter any corners. I don't have to measure anything. It's pretty easy. I'm going to do the same thing here, just cutting off like the pointy tip on these to form a frame. Now it's not as thick as the Dollar Tree canvas, but I think we can make this work. I do want the frame to be towards the front, so it's going to be like even surface with the actual canvas itself. And to the canvas, I want to add an American flag. And I found this window decal with the bicycle on there. It had a little flag there on the back of the bicycle that I think is the perfect size and scale for this. I'm just going to cut it out very carefully, trying to cut out all of the white border. So I'm just left with a flag decal. It's going to give me a nice flat way to be able to attach this to the canvas without actually having to try to paint that on. So I just have the flag itself. I think I'm going to attach mine to the fence in this really great little canvas. And I'm just going to use Mod Podge to attach. So I just kind of figure out where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and add a little Mod Podge to the back and stick it on almost like a sticker. And I want it to look like it's blowing in the sea breeze a little bit. So just kind of position it where I think it's going to look best and start going over the top of that with some Mod Podge. At first, it's a little bit slippery. But once the Mod Podge starts to set up, it starts to set up right where you want it. I went ahead and gave it a quick dry. And then I want to seal the whole canvas with the matte finish Mod Podge. It was pretty glossy and my decal itself really wasn't. And so I want it to all look more uniform and so that that flag is really part of the beach scene for a 4th of July at the beach. I did go over it with a couple of coats of that to seal it, and I almost wanted a little bit of a brush stroke texture on that to give it that more authentic painted canvas feel. And I think that that looks pretty good. I think that looks like it was meant to be there. Now for the frame itself, I'm going to go ahead and paint mine first before I start putting it together. I'm just using a navy blue acrylic paint and a little sponge stencil dauber, and we're simply going to paint 2 sides. I think 2 sides is going to be enough on this. All the areas that could be visible and include the ends on the longer pieces because you'll be able to see those. And I just wanted to make them a nice patriotic color with this navy blue. I think it would also be really cute in red if you're able to find one of these little beach canvases. If you're able to find like one of the square ones instead of the long one like this, you could do the same exact DIY with it. As long as you have somewhere to kind of add your flag to the beach scene, I think it's going to be really cute. So now it's time to start putting this together. I'm going to center my first long piece. Using hot glue, I'm going to glue this directly onto the side of the canvas, making sure to pull that tight so it glues without much of a seam. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here with the sides, gluing them to the canvas, also gluing it to the frame there at the bottom that we just added. And I'm doing it upside down like this so that it will be flat with the front of the canvas since it's not as wide as the canvas. And I do want this to be a standing sign, so I'm also going to add another piece of wood from that same kit to make a little brace to make it stand up a little bit better because it's a little too thin to stand up on its own. So I just take one of the extra pieces. I changed my mind which one I was going to use. This one's a little bit smaller. I think I'll use this one instead. And I just glued it here in the back. I don't really care that it's unfinished wood, not painted, because you're really not going to be able to see it back here at all. But I thought this would be really cute for my shelf. For 4th of July, I needed some more coastal patriotic stuff to decorate with, and I think this is a really fun idea. Isn't that so cute? Just a simple American flag at the beach, which is perfect for coastal 4th of July. Whenever I can find the beach canvases from the Dollar Tree, I always try to snag them. They're definitely some of my favorites. Other options too is you could always use some scrapbook paper too if you're not able to find a canvas, but I think it turned out really cute. What do you guys think? For the next DIY, I found these wood pieces at the Dollar Tree the other day. They're actually called wood books, and I thought these would be really fun to try to make a little coastal beach house for the 4th of July. So I chose 2 of the smaller size ones and 1 of the large ones. The large one's going to be the house itself. One of the small pieces is going to be the base that the house stands on, and the other small piece is going to be the roof of the house. So I thought this would be a really fun idea, and I'm just going to go ahead and remove all of the labels on here with some heat. Definitely helps them to come off. I want this to have all kinds of fun details, and I also want it to look very patriotic. So I want it to be like a flag navy for the house. I went over it with some navy blue acrylic, wanting to stain that wood, bringing through the wood grain, by then using a baby wipe and wiping off some of the excess paint so you can see that wood grain come through. I found that the navy blue kind of almost turned like a royal blue in using it as a stain. So what I did is I added some black acrylic paint to that for the next coat and went over it with that, and that gave me more of the navy vibe that I was going for the house. And again, wiping off the excess paint so I get that streaky wood grain look. I think that looks really cool. And I'm going to do that with all of the edges of this because it's going to be a little standing house. I do want the back of it to look nice too. So I just gave that paint stain method to all of the sides. And I've seen like stores sell like little driftwood houses like this, and that's the kind of look I'm going for, but just using some of these wood books from the Dollar Tree, which are really fun. I'm glad they're selling some larger pieces like this. If you had some lumber, you could always cut down some to size 2 if you're not able to find some at your store. But I think some of like maybe the chunky slatted wood signs would work too. It's probably about the same size as this piece that I'm using for the house. Now for the base, I'm going to make that look like sand. So I just went over mine and gave it a quick stain with some Beachcomber's beige. And I'm saying stain because I just put a thin coat of paint on there and wipe off any of the excess with a baby wipe. So again, you get to see that wood grain come through. I love that look for coastal DIYs. For the roof, I am going to water down some antique wax by Waverly to try to get more of a medium stain and attach that. I love the fact that this one is a little gnarly on the top. It's going to make it look more rustic like the driftwood that I want. And I went over the front and the back and all the sides with a stain on that, just kind of blotting off some of the excess with just a paper towel. And now that those are set up to start drying, I can start working on some of the construction pieces too, like a wood dowel. I want my roof to be slanted, so I thought I could prop it up on a wood dowel, but you might be able to see it. So I'm going to cut mine down to size and give it a quick stain too, just so it kind of matches together with the finish of the roof on here. Now we can start working on the house itself. I thought it would be easier to decorate it now before I start putting it together and easier to show you. So for the door, I'm going to use one of the wooden dominoes from the Dollar Tree and just cut off the top and the bottom. You could also use Dollar Tree wood rulers, popsicle sticks, whatever you can find. And then for the trim pieces for the doors, the windows and stuff like that, I'm going to use these little wood coffee stirrers that I got on Amazon. You get like 1,000 of them or something like that. I do have them linked in my Amazon shop. I'm pretty sure. I will have to double check. And they're great for crafting. They're not so great for stirring coffee, but they're great for crafting. As you can see, they're just real small and detailed. I just gave mine a quick stain there with that Antiques Wax by Waverly mixed with water. I also want to use one of the little mini Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree to make a little flower box. And I wanted them to be stained a little bit darker, so I did add a little bit more Antique Wax by Waverly to the water, so the finish would be a little bit more brown. And I went ahead and stained all of my pieces. I think that will be enough pieces to frame out my door and make all of the windows here on my little beach house, my Patriotic Beach house. I'm going to glue the door on over here on the side just to make it a little bit more off-centered. I think that looks cool. And that's going to give me room to make a big picture window over on the side with a flower box. For the little coffee stirrer sticks, I'm just going to cut these down to size a little bit taller than the door, and I thought it'd be cute to frame the door out with these pieces. And as you can see, they're very thin, so they're very easy to cut with just a pair of regular scissors. And then I just use hot glue. I'm not attaching it directly to the door. I want there to be a small gap there to kind of make it look like a door would look, and that looks pretty good. Now for the window, I don't want it to be super tall, but I do want it to be a big window, like a big picture window, especially in scale to the door that we just made. So I cut 2 side pieces and a top piece, and I'm going to glue the little Jenga block on just like that because I think it looks like a little flower box to go underneath the window. That's going to be the bottom part of that window, and then I just attached the rest of the frame with some hot glue. And I had to cut this one down a little bit smaller. I do want it to have like window panes in there to give it a lot of character. So again, I'm just going to cut down a cross piece, and then I can cut down 2 smaller pieces one for the top and one for the bottom to finish out this wood frame. Now I still have lots of room on my little house here, and I want to make it a 2-story little beach house. So I'm going to cut down a bunch for the top windows. I just want them to be square. So I just cut down all the wood coffee stirrers the same size, and we can start framing out like some little windows up here on the top. I'm going to do 2, make that one a little bit more symmetrical. But the thing about building houses is you can build yours however you want. You can get really creative. Like, houses don't necessarily have doors like right in the middle or all the same size windows and stuff like that. So you can make it look as fun as you want. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 little windows up here. They're smaller than the large window that we have there on the front of the house, but they're going to be framed out exactly the same way. I kind of make an 8, and then I fill in the other pieces here for the little windowsill, the little tiny pieces, again cutting everything down, and then just attaching everything with hot glue. I think that the stained wood looks really good with that blue stained house. Another fun option would be to do red and white stripes for your beach house to make it look like flag stripes. I thought about that too, but I decided to go blue on this one. And that darker stain, I went over the roof again too, just to make that a little bit darker because it was a little bit faded. I'm just going to draw a little doorknob on here with a marker. And then I want to fill up my flower box. So I'm going to use some tiny flowers. I have some of these white baby's breath from the Dollar Tree. I thought red and white would look good since it's already have the blue, and I wanted to do patriotic colors. But I didn't have any of the red ones. I know they have red in the baby's breath, but I had some pink ones. So I just took some red acrylic paint and I just simply painted them. I really only had to paint one side because the paint bled through the flower. And then I reattach it to the stem, and I have a little red flower. I thought the red and white flowers would be a little subtle nod to the 4th of July here for my coastal decor. And since my flower box is not really open, these work perfect. I can just glue these here on the top, adding the red one right here in the middle. I didn't really like the blue doorknob I added, so I toned it down a little bit here with a copper colored marker. And then I want to do a flag banner hanging on the front of the house for 4th of July decor. So I'm going to use some of the little flag cake toppers from the Dollar Tree. They're like little cupcake toppers. And I'm just going to simply cut those down to size. Whenever you hang a flag vertical like this, you always want to hang like your Union Jack, I think it is, to the left. So that is how I'm going to make my banner, and I think 3 is going to be plenty. I'm just going to string those with some twine and drape that along the front of my little beach house for some 4th of July decor. Another option is if you had like a little bit larger flag, you could just hang it directly on the house in between some windows, depending on how you design yours. I thought about making some bunting, but I really didn't have great materials to do that, so I decided a flag banner would be really fun, and I do decorate my home with these, so I think that this will be really cute. And I am just going to kind of drape it in front of these windows here like that. So I center it first by attaching the first flag with just a little dot of hot glue and having it come up on each side. I'm going to attach it with a little hot glue here on each side, having it drape right here in front. Kind of a subtle touch for a 4th of July decor, but we have all of the colors, red, white, and blue, and we have the American flag, so I think this is going to work well. So the sandy color was my base, so I'm going to attach the wood with some hot glue about 2/3 of the way back, so I have a little bit of room to decorate the yard here in front of the house, which since it's a beach house, I want it to be sandy. So I just used a layer of school glue and a thin layer of the tan sand from the Dollar Tree to make it look like it is at the beach. And I do want to add a few more details. I decided to do a little path, but I already had the sand on there. While it's still wet, I'm just going to go ahead and scrape that off with just a piece of wood from one of those coffee stirrers, and then I can add like a little gravel sidewalk to my beach house. I wanted a really fine gravel, so I decided to use some of these bath salts that I found from the Dollar Tree instead of gravel just because they were more fine. And they're little white pieces like this. I think this is going to work well. I'm just going to hot glue those down, so they should stay in place. I just want one thin layer of them leading to the door just for a little variety besides just sand in the front of our beach house. And then I wanted to add some seashells as well. This is a giant jar of seashells that I got on Amazon. They're very similar to the small ones from the Dollar Tree that used to come in the glass bottles. I've had trouble finding those at Dollar Tree lately. And I am going to attach some here just in the front yard, trying to glue those down to the wood sign itself so they will stay into place. I think 4 is going to be fine. And then it's time to attach the roof of our little coastal 4th of July beach house. I just attached the wood dowel here towards the back of the wood, and then I can prop that up at an angle for a roof piece. I attach hot glue here on the dowel and on the corner there of the wood for the front of the house, and just wedge that on there so it overlaps slightly, and reinforce it with a little bit more hot glue here in the back to that wood dowel. Look how adorable this turned out. I absolutely love it. It looks like something that you could definitely buy at the home decor store. Isn't this so cute? I love the subtle red, white, and blue, but you also have the American flag. So it's clearly a 4th of July decoration, but very coastal as well. If you didn't want to make yours coastal, you could always do something besides the beach scene out front and kind of make it however you'd like. For the next DIY, I'm going to do a very simple coastal vase for the 4th of July using one of these glass message in a bottles. This one has like more of the royal blue on the bottom part. They have these in a couple different colors, but as you can see, it kind of ombres up like that. I'm just going to use the glass bottle as a vase, making it look patriotic with one of the little tiny American flags from the Dollar Tree. I just took mine off of the little pole, and I also undid the seam here so I could just have the flag fabric. I want to wrap that around the outside of this vase. It did have a little excess material over here on the side, and so I just trimmed that up to make it look a little bit better. And I want to just glue that around the vase like that. So it will kind of cover where the ombre goes from blue to clear, but I think it's going to tie it all in and look really cute. I just saturated the back of mine with some Mod Podge to try to make it like a sticker. And as you can see, it's pretty saturated. I am going to flatten that out, just covering the outside of the vase. And it was such an easy way to make a patriotic vase. I smoothed mine out here, trying to spread that out, and I also got a lot of Mod Podge on the bottle itself, but I did want to start drying that, letting that set up first so it would stay in place before I actually cleaned up my bottle. And I just used some wet wipes and paper towels to clean that up. What I want to do is fill this up with some sand, some shells, and then some patriotic florals that I got at the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to fill it pretty full because I want the sand to be taller than the flag itself, so you can see the seashells that I'm going to add in there. So I go a little bit higher like that, and I'm going to use these tiny seashells from Amazon and just sprinkle some there in the top. Really cute and coastal and so easy. And then we can add the florals. I have like 1.5 packages of these heather bush they have this year. I think they're so pretty. They're red, white, and blue, but as you can see, they're not really obnoxious at all. They're very beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one all together. It's got some nice greenery on there as well. And it's a perfect scale for this size vase. And then I had a partial piece with some reds and white on there. And I'm just going to use my wire cutter and cut these into individual pieces, kind of filling it out just where it's needed here. And I think I had the perfect amount of these. I've used these in another DIY for 4th of July. I just think they're so pretty. I had to pick up some more. And let me show you how this vase turned out. It was such an easy DIY. It definitely looks coastal and very patriotic with the red, white, and blue heather here at the top. And of course the American flag on the vase. But the coastal touch is definitely the sand and the shells there on the top, which I really love. And I love those glass bottles. I use those a lot with crafting. I found some recently at my store, so hopefully you can find one too, or you can use any kind of glass bottle. Today I have 4th of July Dollar Tree party DIYs for you. I have a little bit of everything in this video. We're going to get started first with my brand new 4th of July tablescapes for the 4th of July with different themes. So my first theme is country 4th of July. I hope you enjoy. So I wanted to decorate my table for a 4th of July party with a country theme. So the first thing I'm going to do is use some of the new, I think this is new, the runners this year at Dollar Tree. They have them in different colors. This one has just the white stars, and there's two pieces of plastic on there. It is not as long as my table, but it's pretty close. And I thought this would be a very kind of neutral runner that I can run down the middle of my table that won't take away from all of the other fun things we're going to add to this. So simply going to lay it down. I like that my blue table kind of shines through it. Oh, you guys haven't seen my table yet. This is my old table that I had that was wood, and I didn't really like it. It didn't go with my coastal feel, and I painted it and distressed it, and I love it now. So it's blue. Now for the centerpiece, I'm going to take some red gingham burlap that I got at Dollar Tree and one of their vases from the Dollar Tree. That's the white plastic. And I thought we would cover the outside of the vase with this to really give it a country vibe. And I really like using gingham for 4th of July because it's kind of unexpected. And I thought this burlap would be perfect. So I'm just going to cut out like a section here. I know it's going to be a little tricky because it's skinnier at the bottom of the vase. And so I'm going to go ahead and iron it really quick too. I moved my auto heat press to my crafting station in the garage, and I use it all the time for crafting, so I use it a lot more. I'm really glad that I moved it here. And I just gave that a quick press just to make it easier to work with. Now, it's going to be a little tricky. I'm going to try to attach this with hot glue. So what I'm going to do is go around the widest part first, which is this outer rim. And I want the stripes to kind of be straight across, which I know is a little tricky. So what I did was just glued one panel on, and then I'm going to do this panel, but I'm going to try to make sure that it is on the same strand of burlap here at the top. And I do that on all four sides. I know I'm going to have to cut it at the corners to kind of make it make sense because of course it's going to be skinnier at the bottom. So it was a little bit tricky to cover this, a little bit more than I thought. At first I thought about doing a seam down the middle. I ended up moving that seam to the corner, but this was how I initially set it up. Now you'll notice that little red dot on the bottom of my vase. I had like kind of a rude awakening at Dollar Tree when I went to go get these supplies because they had no signs or warning of any kind, yet all the florals I use in these first three tablescapes were $1.75 instead of $1.25. I could not believe it. I thought the total sounded way too high. And then I looked at my receipt on the way to my car, and there was tons of $1.75, $1.75, $1.75. And I'm like, they could have told me. I guess they put red dots on the prices of things that are not $1.25 anymore to cover up the $1.25. So I guess faces are too. Who knew? I was not happy about that. But what you see is I just cut the corners and then I hot glued them down, kind of sandwiching them together there at the corners because there's going to be a little bit more fabric here at the bottom than at the top. And then I'm also going to leave a little bit of extra fabric on there so I can wrap that around the bottom to make it seamless. I don't really care about kind of the shaggy burlap corners because I want it to look country, so I'm going to be fine with that vibe. But I did want to try to make it take the shape of the vase as much as I could. So I knew it was going to be a little tricky when I went to cover it with that, but I do like how it turned out. So I left like a half an inch of fabric here on the bottom, and I'm going to glue that down too. And I just kind of glue it, wrapping it like a present down here with the corners and cutting off any excess fraying that might be sticking out. Now for the top of it, I just cut it as close as I can to the top of the vase. I think that's going to be fine. And then I want to use some Dollar Tree floral foam in there to hold my florals and my flags in place. and I am going to have to carve it a little bit to take that shape of the vase. And I'll just use some of my extra pieces to fill up any sides that might need something. And these are the flowers we're going to use. The hydrangeas from Dollar Tree. See that red sticker? Beware. Beware of the red sticker. I'm like a sign or something. I looked for a sign. I really did, because I know that a lot of you guys have said that things are going to go up in price, but man, that was a rude surprise. Um and I found these in white and blue. I thought they're really pretty. I thought we could mix them together. So I cut some down shorter to be shorter flowers and then left some intact like that to be taller. So I'm going to do the same thing here with the blue, mixing those in. And I couldn't find any red, but I think that's okay. I'm going to have a lot of red going on this table anyway. And I already have the red in the gingham burlap down below. So I just keep filling this up. I want this to look really full with flowers. And I love using flowers like this for 4th of July. I think it really looks pretty. And you don't have to do your traditional colors of blue like this. And I think that this color of blue looks really country. So I just keep adding to them. I did kind of some taller ones, shorter ones, and medium ones, and then kind of just blended them all together, just arranging it until it is super full of flowers. Then I'm going to add a couple of the Dollar Tree flags. These come in, I think it was a 3-pack. They're like the medium size little flags from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to add one here in each side, coming out of the sides like that. And they're nice and big. I think they look really good for a centerpiece. So let's place this here on the runner. And I think that looks really pretty and festive. For the rest of the runner, I'm going to use just a few things to decorate it. I thought these little wood tags from the Dollar Tree with the stars on there would be cute. And I kind of like them all together like this. Like Land of the Free, God Bless the USA. My little wood stars here, the white ones, were a little dinged up with some red paint on them. So I just gave mine a quick touch up, but I kind of like them like that. I can just kind of toss those on the runner and arrange them. I think they look kind of country, and I think that's going to provide like just some fun things here on the table that look interesting. So I'm going to put some on both sides. I chose different ones that had different signs on there for a little bit of variety. And I think that looks pretty good. Now for the next item, I'm going to use a little galvanized metal star. They're like little trays from the Dollar Tree. And these are on sale for 25 cents at my Dollar Tree right now. So I picked up 2 of those. And then I'm going to use some of the little tea light candle holders, the glass ones from the Dollar Tree, to add in there to make these into candles. But for a little color, I thought I would use some of that red sand from the Dollar Tree to fill it up a little bit. And that's going to give me a pop of color and look fun for the 4th of July. So it works well with candles too. I'm just going to put the little glass tea light candle holders down inside and pop in some of the Dollar Tree tea lights here. And we can have some candles on the party table. Really easy to do. A nice pop of color, and I think this is going to look really cute. I'm going to put it here towards the end, so like I don't have to worry about candles and the flags getting too close to each other. But I think that fills out the middle part of the table really nicely. Here's a little closer view of how I DIY'd this part of the table. Now I'm going to show you how I did my place settings. I picked up these little placemats from the Dollar Tree that are red. I thought these would look fun for like a country theme. I like the texture on them. And I thought this would be a really easy way for a placemat. And it's kind of fine overlapping that really thin table runner. It doesn't really take away from it at all because they are kind of large. And then for the plates, I found these plates at the Dollar Tree. I think they're so pretty. I guess they're the summer plates. I think they look like fireworks. So I thought these would be perfect for 4th of July. So I'm going to add that to the little placemat like that. I love the blue and red together. And then for a little decor for the plate, I thought we could add one of these little wood cutout stars from the Dollar Tree in red. Now, I don't know if they have these in white. If they do, I think white would look cute too. against the blue tray, I'm just going to take the wood beads and the twine off of them and remove any staples. So I just have a wood star, something that's going to be easy to move, but it's going to be decorative there for the top of my plate. Isn't that so cute? And I think that that cutout goes really well with the country vibes of this tablescape. And then it's time for napkins. I'm going to use a Dollar Tree bandana. These come in the 2 packs. I thought this one looked really country. I love the blue gingham. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this as a napkin. I never really thought about using these as a napkin, but 2 for $1.25 is a good deal for a cloth napkin. And so I just give it a quick iron just to make it look better. And then I fold it in half with the back of the bandana here on the outside. I fold it in half again so I have a quarter. And then I'm going to flip it so that my open corner is in the top left, folding that back towards me and then turning it over. I fold it into thirds and into thirds again, and then I tuck this corner down into this little pocket. Now, when I flip over my bandana napkin, I have a little pocket here that can hold my silverware. So this is a really easy way to fold fabric napkins or bandanas for napkins. I'm going to use real silverware since we're using real plates on this one. And I just tuck in my silverware set like that. And I think this looks so pretty. I don't know why I never thought to use bandanas as cloth napkins before, but it really gives kind of a high-end look to this little tablescape. And then to drink, I thought mason jars from the Dollar Tree would be perfect to go with that country theme. Just a mason jar for a cup. I'm just going to remove the lid and wash that and add that to the tablescape. And I think that is going to be a perfect cup for this theme. I love it. And so this is how this little place setting is for the country 4th of July. I think it's really cute. I went ahead and did that 3 more times, so I have a total of 4 place settings, and this is how it all looks together with the country 4th of July theme. Then I thought it would be really fun too to add some bandanas to the chairs. And so I'm going to use some of the navy bandanas from the Dollar Tree. This comes in a 2-pack with the red. And I'm just going to tie the corners after folding it in half. And that way I can make a little chair cover to go on the back of the chair where you'll be decorated on both sides. And it'll look kind of country there with that bandana, I think. And I just can just place it like that. And I think that goes with the theme really well. Now, I also wanted to give you paper plate options if you don't want to do dishes and you want just paper plates. So I found these Oh My Stars plates from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to show you what they look like with the paper plate option as well. Aren't those cute? So I just added that directly to the placemat, just like I did with the real plates. And then I'm going to show you how you can actually fold the Dollar Tree napkins too and make them look a little bit prettier. So this is one with like all kinds of 4th of July words all over it. And I fold it in half with the back on the outside like that. And I'm going to fold it the same way. So corner down after I folded it again. And then I fold it over, fold it into thirds to the right, and then to the left. And then I can tuck that into the pocket. It's going to be a lot smaller than the bandana, of course, but I think it's going to be fine for some plastic cutlery that you can also get at Dollar Tree. So I chose red, and I'm going to do the fork, knife, and spoon in here. And so you can do that fun pocket fold even with the Dollar Tree paper napkin. So that's a fun little hack for you. I'm going to add that there to the paper plate. I thought that that napkin would go really well with that plate and not too matchy-matchy. And then for glass, I'm just going to use blue party cup that I got at Dollar General because I had a lot of red going on. And this is what it looks like with the paper plate option. So I think that that is turned out really pretty too. So I wanted to give you lots of options for your 4th of July party. Of course, not all of us want to do the dishes after a party. Now, the next tablescape we're going to do is a stars and stripes tablescape. And again, using items from the Dollar Tree, but I wanted this one to be kind of based on like flag, traditional 4th of July. For the table runner, I'm actually going to use one of the door banners from the Dollar Tree. So these are $1.25, which is a great price for a runner. All I have to do is cut off the little grommet and the hanger on this. It's almost the same length as my table. So I just cut straight across there. And since I was doing stars and stripes, this looks like a flag. I think it's going to be perfect for that. I don't know why they don't sell it as a table runner as well. And so I'm going to cut this part off right here. And we'll make this little banner a table runner. Now it was a little rolled up there. I did give it a quick press there so that it doesn't roll up like that. I want it to lay flat on my table. So again, I just gave it a little press here with my auto press, and it ironed just fine to make sure that it's nice and flat. We don't want anything rolling up like that. So let's go add this to my table for a Stars and Stripes 4th of July party. I'm going to lay this down with the blue and white stars here on the left. And as you can see, it's almost the same length as my table. So it works out really well for a table runner. And it's a fun use of those door banners. I mean, you really don't need very many of those. So that is a fun hack for those. And they seem to be pretty readily available. Now for the centerpiece, I picked up a blue flower pot from the Dollar Tree, which is kind of navy. And I thought we would make a plant, make it look like some greenery and add some red, white, and blue flowers to this. So I'm just going to take some Dollar Tree floral foam and cut this piece up to fill up the flower pot. I'm not going to weigh it down or anything. It's a centerpiece, so I think it's going to be heavy enough to stand on its own. And I just kind of break it up to fill up the entire flower pot. And then I found a couple different kinds of eucalyptus at the Dollar Tree. I like that these are different colors of green, so I thought that that would make it look a little bit more realistic with the different colors of green. So that one's kind of a more muted. This is a more brighter green. But I'm just cutting them with my wire cutters and filling this up to make this look like a plant that we can add flowers to. I like the pop of green on this. It's kind of a surprise for a centerpiece, but it also makes it kind of lower using a pot instead of a vase for their centerpiece. Once I get it filled up with greenery, I'm going to take a little bit of floral moss just to make sure you can't see any of that floral foam in there, and just kind of spread that around where I don't have anything, but it was pretty full. And then I found some great red, white, and blue flowers from the Dollar Tree. This one all came together. They're really tropical looking. So I thought we could use the red and blue flowers from this one. And I'm just going to use my wire cutters to cut those apart and add those to the greenery. I love how that looks together. I think it's really pretty. And there's only one white flower on there, and I really want some like white and yellow flowers. So I'm going to replace the white flower with some white and yellow flowers from a different arrangement. I kind of have a partial here with the white and yellow. You know, I hoard Dollar Tree flowers a lot, and it's a good thing. Since they went up in price, I'm going to need to use my flower hoard for sure. But I think the white and yellow really pops against the greenery and the red and blue, and it's a fun contrast with the other flowers on there. I only had 3, but I think that's enough. I just add that to it. And then I'm adding some of the little mini flags from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to do 2. One on each side. I like the size of these. They are a lot smaller than the other ones that we used. And I'm going to add one here on each side, kind of having them drape down into the greenery and the flowers, one on each side. So I think that looks good, and this is going to be a fun centerpiece to go on the table runner for a Stars and Stripes theme. I like the red, white, and blue. Of course, we had to have the flag in there. And the flower pot was kind of a fun idea for that. So I'm just going to place that right there in the center of my table. Now, I didn't want to do anything else to really take away from the Stars and Stripes, but I did want candles. So I'm going to use just these little glass candles from the Dollar Tree with the votives already in them. They're white, they're neutral, they won't take away from all that Stars and Stripes, but I can also light them and have some fun candles on the party table. So I'm just going to line those down, 2 on each side. Just kind of spreading those out, and whenever I can do real candles, I always try to do that. I think they're so pretty and fun, especially for a table. Now for the placemat, I found this from actually Dollar General. I think they were $3 for these. They're so pretty and really versatile. I thought they would go with lots of fun themes like coastal, but I think they were going to provide a nice backdrop for a Stars and Stripes theme for this. And it's not going to take away from all the fun things we're going to add to it. For the chargers, I'm using the star chargers. These are right now in the graduation aisle at Dollar Tree. They are silver, but I think that's going to be fine. And I think it's going to be really fun for a star for the 4th of July. So I'm going to add that to that charger. And it's really neutral. It's going to provide a nice backdrop for these blue plates from the Dollar Tree. I think these are so pretty. They definitely remind me of the 4th of July with that starburst pattern, and it just really reminds me of a firework. So I'm going to add real plates to this tablescape as well, adding this on top of the star charger. It actually gives you kind of a layered look, but I really like how that looks together. And then for the napkins on this one, since I'm doing a stars and stripes theme, I'm going to use the American flag bandana. So again, these come in a 2-pack, and I am going to fold my silverware into these, but I'm going to give them a quick press first just to make the napkin look a little better, the bandana napkin, and I'm going to fold it in half like this. And then again, so I have the star pattern on the top, and then I fold that up. I actually have it upside down, so let me flip this around. So I fold that down like that, right? And then I turn it over, fold it in thirds, and then fold it in thirds again. We're going to do another pocket fold for a cloth napkin. I'm going to tuck that little corner in and then turn it over. And then I like how the stars are on that one part and the stripes are on the other part. I kind of folded it that way on purpose so I could get the stars and stripes. And then I'm going to add some real silverware here to it. And I think this is perfect for a stars and stripes theme. I'm going to place it right on top of the plate. You could also do it to the side if you wanted, but I really liked that pop of the flag color on top of the plate. For glass, I'm just going to use a glass that I got. These are actually from the Dollar Tree, but I actually use these from day to day. They're really nice glasses, and I'm just going to sit this over here to the side. And this is how this Stars and Stripes tablescape place setting looks. I think it's really cute. I'm going to do that 3 more times, and then I'll show you how they all look together. I wanted to give you lots of options for your tablescape, and we also have party tables coming later on in the video. Doesn't this look so cute? I love all the stars and stripes. Everything there was from the Dollar Tree except for the chargers I got at Dollar General. But I think they turned out really pretty. I love this theme. Very simple. Now I wanted to give you a paper plates option too, so I'm going to use the Oh My Stars paper plates from the Dollar Tree, and I also picked up some red star plates from the Dollar Tree that I thought would be fun for a dessert plate. So I will show you how they look with both of those options on that great silver star charger from the Dollar Tree. So cute. These were the only plates I could find at my Dollar Tree. I don't mind the fact that they're square. I think that that's kind of cute. So this is what it would look like with a paper plate option on top of the silver charger. And since I did a paper plate, I'm going to show you how I can do a paper napkin DIY for that as well. So I picked the star napkin. I guess that goes with the Oh My Stars plates. And then we'll just add some of the red plastic silverware from the Dollar Tree. So just like before, I'm going to open it up, fold it with the outside out like that, and then fold it again. And now you should be a pro by now. I fold down the corner, I flip it over, and then I fold it in thirds and then in thirds again and tuck it into the pocket. If you can't tell, this is definitely one of my favorite way to fold a napkin for a dinner party. I love the little pocket that it provides, and it makes setting a place setting really easily. So I just add some plastic silverware, and the pop of red from the silverware is really cute. You could always use some heavy duty silverware if you don't really like the Dollar Tree cutlery. It is a little bit small, but I think it's really pretty here. And this is what the paper napkins look like next to the paper plates. And then for a plastic cup, I picked up these red party cups from Dollar Tree from the party aisle. I think these are perfect for the 4th of July, just as they are. I'm going to add that for a little pop of red back here next to the plate. So this is an option you could do with paper plates, and I'm going to do that 3 more times and show you how that looks together on the party table. So that's another easy option. You still get that stars and stripes vibe, but no dishes afterwards for sure. But I like just the candles on there. I think that's really cute. And I promised you I'd show you how the dessert plate looked too. Look how cool the dessert plate looks on those silver chargers. Really fun. The next tablescape theme I have for you is floral and gingham. I wanted to go for a fun aesthetic feel, and I think this came together really well because you don't always have to do stars and stripes for the 4th of July. Sometimes you can get a little bit more creative for a beautiful table. I got another glass vase from the Dollar Tree with the red mystery sticker on here. Look at that, covering up that $1.25. Dollar Tree, what are you doing to us? So I think this vase is really pretty. It's nice and large and kind of fluted. And I'm going to add some red, white, and blue baby's breath that I got at Dollar Tree. I think that's going to be really pretty for this theme. I want to mix together some unexpected things instead of stars and stripes, some other red, white, and blue options that I found from the Dollar Tree. Now, I do want to fill it up with some sand. I thought some of the Dollar Tree red sand would be really pretty. It is a pretty large vase, so it's definitely going to take more than one bag of the red sand, but that does provide a nice pop of color. I guess you could also use the white. I don't think they have blue. I don't think I have any blue. But I just added 2 bags of red here to that. This is about how full that makes it. And that's going to be great for arranging the greenery. And it's going to kind of hide the stems here in this since it is a clear vase. And this is the baby's breath that I got. I got red, white, and blue. I was only able to find one of the blue, but I think that's going to be okay. I found a lot of the red and white. So I'm going to cut these apart separately for some of the shorter flowers in the arrangement. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with the white baby's breath. I don't know why they call this baby's breath. I don't think that baby's breath really looks like this, does it? I always thought baby's breath was the real tiny flowers. I don't know. This was the only blue one that I could find. What I'm going to do is leave that all together and make that kind of taller than some of them because I want some taller flowers and of course some smaller ones. And then for the white ones, I just trimmed it off slightly at the end. And I'm going to do the same thing here with this red one. So I'm going to get more of a medium where that blue can be a little bit taller. And I'm just going to keep adding flowers to this until it is full. I did want it to be really full since it is a centerpiece. And again, just trying to vary my height slightly. If I can leave them all attached, I try to do that because they are wired. So it's going to be easy to arrange these. And I do want it to look a little bit more random. And I left them all in bunches. So once I got them all on there, I just kind of arranged them and bent the wires on these to make them look a little bit more varied. And I think just the one little dose of blue in there is plenty. And this is how our little centerpiece turned out. I'm not going to use a table runner on this one. I'm going to let my blue table shine in there. I'm going to add that right to the center of the table though. And then I'm going to scatter some wood stars around. So I'm going to use these wall charms from the Dollar Tree again. And I'm just going to remove the wood stars from these. And I just want the red and white stars to scatter around on my blue table. I think these are going to make really good party scatter, but really kind of look high end with like the wood-like feel of them. Just getting those little pesky staples out of the back was the only trick. I find the Cricut weeder works really well for that. And I think these are so cute. They don't give us a lot of things to craft with for 4th of July at Dollar Tree anymore. So this is one thing that you can definitely use. I'm just going to scatter the white and the red here on both sides, going down the middle of my table, even without a runner. And then for the candle DIY, I found this cute little white candle from the Dollar Tree, white clove, a jar candle. I'm going to combine that with one of the chunky wood stars from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to fill up the hole because it is an ornament with some spackle. And then I'm going to give it just a really easy stain with some antique wax by Waverly on the top and the sides. And this is going to be like the little base for my candle. I think this is going to be fun. I didn't really want to do red, white, and blue on this one. I thought we could just do the white candle and the stained wood would be a fun contrast because I'm going to add these on the table where the runner would be, you know, where I scattered those other wood stars. And I wanted a little bit more variety, so I thought the stained wood would look really pretty. So I'm going to do that twice so I can do one on each side, but I love the little white jar candle from the Dollar Tree. It's kind of unexpected and it looks a little vintage. So I'm going to do one of those for both sides and just kind of work that in between the two stars that I already scattered. Now for the placemat on this one, I found this great bag from the Dollar Tree, and I love the blue and white pattern on this. I thought this would be a really great material to make a placemat. So I'm just going to cut the front off of the bag, and I'm going to combine that with a Dollar Tree placemat. It is kind of thick. It is kind of plastic on there, so I think it's going to be great for a placemat. I wanted to add the placemat to it to provide a little bit more sturdiness to it, and so it's just not just so flimsy. So I just picked up another placemat from the Dollar Tree in a pattern that doesn't really work for 4th of July. And I'm going to use some Elmer's spray adhesive on here. I just spray it all over the top of the Dollar Tree placemat. And it's a nice thick bag, so I don't think you'll be able to see the pattern through it. And just place that there on the back of the bag. I just cut the fabric out bigger than I need. I'm going to remove the tag here on the back. That seemed to dry pretty fast, and now I can cut off the excess material here for the placemat. I found that if I cut it this direction, my scissors cut it even closer directly up against it. I want to make sure that I don't cut the placemat at all. I still want that great shape. And this was a good idea. At first, I was just going to cut the material and not attach it, but I'm glad I did. It made the placemats a lot sturdier. And I think this turned out really pretty, and it should be really easy to wipe clean. And I love that pattern. I don't really know what you would call that pattern. If you know, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know which tablescape is your favorite. I'm curious to know. And then I'm going to be using the little blue starburst plates from the Dollar Tree for this one too. And I think this is going to look really pretty together with that placemat. They should make that into a placemat like that. It turned out really pretty. Now for the napkin on this one, I'm going to use one of the bandanas. This one is the gingham and stars. I really only want the gingham. And I'm going to kind of fold it where that's all you're going to be able to see. So let me give this a quick press, this bandana. This is the one that comes with the American flag one. And I am going to roll my silverware this time. So I'm going to fold it in half like this, because I really only want you to be able to see the gingham on this and not so much the stars. I want that red and white gingham. I think that's really fun for the 4th of July. I'm going to fold it like you do at a restaurant. So I stacked my silverware, folded left to right, folded right to left, and then fold up, enveloping my silverware in there. And then I just roll that all the way to the end. And now you can only see the red and white gingham. So that worked out really well. For a napkin ring, I'm going to use one of these hanging metal stars from the Dollar Tree. They already have wood beads on them and twine. So I just move half of the beads to one side so it'll be visible. And then just simply tie the twine off here. That will be easy to untie to get to the silverware. And I love the metal stars. I think that provides a nice touch. I just did the white ones like this. And I'm just going to lay that right on top of my plate for some silverware. And then for glassware, I'm just going to use the Dollar Tree glass, plain glass. It's not really going to take away from the colors, but it's not really going to distract from anything either. And that is the place setting for this one. It's really pretty. I am going to do some chair covers for this as well, but this is what it looks like when I did 3 more for a complete tablescape of like the gingham and the florals. I think it's a really fun color combination, and it's not real loud like the stars and the stripes for 4th of July. For the table covers though, I do want to add a flag. So I'm going to use the flag bandana from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make a chair cover that looked way more high end than the chair covers that they have, the flag ones from the Dollar Tree. I just folded over a couple of inches, hot glue it just on the edges to make a little pocket here at the top. And I can slide this over the back of my chair, and it's going to provide me a really nice little chair cover and a little pop of flag pattern back there to go with that print. I think they look really fun together. I really love how this turned out. I was really going for the aesthetic on this table, and I think that the flag really brings out a little bit of 4th of July. But I also want to show you a paper plate version. So for this one, I'm going to use the charger. I think the charger looks good without just sitting the paper plate directly on this placemat. I'm going to use the Oh My Stars paper plates from the Dollar Tree onto the little graduation charger. They kind of have a gray star on there too that kind of matches the silver charger tray. For the napkins on this paper version, I'm going to use the white one with all the blue and red stars all over. They have a lot of options for napkins from the Dollar Tree. I could only find one paper plate, but I could find lots of napkins. So again, I fold it in half, fold it again, and then bend down the corner, fold it in thirds, fold it in thirds, and we have an easy little pocket napkin here. All I got to do is flip that over and fill that up with some party wear. So I've given you lots of options for different plates and napkin combos and different themes, and I really like the paper plate options as well. I definitely think the charger made this look even better. Oh My Stars definitely goes with the star charger, right? And I'm just going to add my silverware over here to the right. And I love how that looks with that fabric that we used for the placemat. For the party cup, I'm just going to use the red party cups from the Dollar Tree. And this is the paper plate version of this tablescape. Still super cute. You get that fun aesthetic. And this, I did it 3 more times. This is how the entire table looks together. Isn't this so pretty? I really love how this turned out. It's definitely one of my favorite themes. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Please let me know which DIY was your favorite down in the comments below, or just come say hello. And don't forget to check out my second channel, Crafty Little Beach, for individual DIYs on your phone. Enjoy the final reveal. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's crafting marathon. I would also like to give a huge thank you to all of my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you so much to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Kim Rogers, Maria Cruz Pagan, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Lori Hollingsworth, Mindy Hupp, and Jenny. I really appreciate the extra support. If you would like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button next to today's video on your phone or your computer. You're going to get early ad-free access to my content and a badge next to your name when you comment down below and a shout out in every video. We would also love to see what you've been crafting. Make sure to share your DIYs with us on my private Facebook group, always linked in the description of all of my videos. We would love to see what you have been crafting. Would you like more Dollar Tree DIYs? Be sure to check out one of these videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting and happy 4th of July.